Welcome back to the BattleTalk show. I am your host, Noah Adamani, and I am absolutely over the moon to be back on the United Football Media YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe and make sure to like this video and comment as you watch along after another remarkable weekend in the UFL and, more importantly, a victory for our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks over their arch rival in the DC Defenders. We will be covering the remarkable victory at home with Manny Wilkins under center as AJ McCarron was out with an ankle injury, and we will also be looking ahead to Week 9 against the lowly Arlington Renegades on Saturday afternoon. So, folks, strap in for a wild one, and remember, call is law. This was truly the most pivotal victory of the entire UFL season for these St. Louis Battlehawks, as a 26-21 final score against the DC Defenders was more than enough to earn a spot in the postseason, and more specifically, the XFL Conference Championship. The stage is set for June 9th. Our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks will be squaring off against the San Antonio Brahmas at home in the XFL Conference Championship, as Week 8 was a win and in opportunity for the Battlehawks, coming off of a loss in Birmingham last week. And this was the get-right opportunity to cement a place in the postseason and further this quest for a UFL championship. The victory did not come easy in front of 32,000 loyal fans at the Battle Dome this afternoon, but Manny Wilkins, backup quarterback, rose to the occasion and stepped in for AJ McCarron, who was out with an ankle injury, and seamlessly transitioned into the starting role. Of course, there were some growing pains in the early going of the football game, but he found his stride and was able to get the job done a little bit through the air, but of course did his most damage on the ground with 79 rushing yards as the quarterback, leading all rushers for the Battlehawks. Wilkins was truly clutch down the stretch, finding major pockets in the defense for 17-yard gains and reaching extremely important first downs to further the Battlehawks' opportunities in scoring position. I was most impressed with his ability to be composed in the pocket and truly take hold of this offense that has been humming all season long. And when you take away the leader of that offense and one of the most dynamic players in this league, and you plug in a backup who has not played professional football before and hasn't started a football game since 2018, there are some worries that start to set in for such a monumental game that can clinch a playoff spot. But Manny Wilkins was up for the challenge and truly exceeded expectations for myself and all of Battlehawk Nation. It does not matter how the job gets done, but simply that it gets done and this team survives and advances. So hat tip to number 5, Manny Wilkins. I could very well see him taking over a starting role in the UFL next year, potentially for another franchise. But I, of course, would love to retain him as the backup in St. Louis, as we actually don't know how long AJ McCarron will be out. And, of course, now that the playoff spot has been clinched, we want AJ to rest that ankle maybe for a couple weeks longer, as we will definitely need him against San Antonio come June. Defensively, in this battle against the DC Defenders, stops did not come easy. Jordan Teamu thrives in this atmosphere in St. Louis. He played in it for one season back in 2020. So he's very well comfortable in the Battle Dome and playing in front of a raucous home crowd. But the defense stood tall on several occasions, forcing Jordan Ta'amu into 2 interceptions, which were crucial down the stretch, as both interceptions were in pivotal field position, and the St. Louis Battlehawks were able to take advantage and score points down the stretch of this football game. It really came down to the wire deep into the fourth quarter, but the St. Louis Battlehawks were able to overcome all the doubters heading into this football game, saying that no, they can't get the job done without their wide receiving core and Marcel Aitman and Jacour Pearson. No A.J. McCarron. How are they going to pass the football down the field? How are they going to score? But they did it through the ground game. Wayne Gallman, the 5-year NFL vet, he reached pay dirt twice. And of course, the consistent back, Jacob Sailors, was able to find the end zone once. It was all on the ground, and that is what truly stood out to me. If you take a look at the stats, DC led in just about every category except the running game. The Battlehawks had more rushing attempts and almost doubled the DC defenders in rushing yards. That was the tale of the tape. That is what led to the Battlehawks' victory, was the ability to run the football and score in the red zone. So, folks, I'm truly over the moon about this victory. Not only did our St. Louis Battlehawks sweep the DC defenders during this regular season, but this second victory over DC was the most important one of the entire year as we look ahead to a postseason bid against the San Antonio Brahmas, who we have beaten earlier this year, and it will be an extremely unique opportunity as our final regular season game takes place against the Brahmas, and just 8 days later, they will be squaring off once again. So, of course, we don't go into the season anticipating 2 matchups in 2 weeks against the same team, but that's how things can shake out with these unique conferences and the top spots really not wavering throughout the regular season. San Antonio and St. Louis have been extremely consistent and have always been hovering around the top in the XFL conference, and they will get a great look at one another come the end of this year. And of course, our Battlehawks will continue on the quest to extend their season, not just to June 9th, but cross the threshold into the UFL Championship on June 17th. As you know, folks, there are several weeks left of the UFL regular season, and we are looking at another early game, this time on Saturday morning and into the afternoon, down in Arlington, Texas, against the 1-7 Arlington Renegades. Just a year ago, they hoisted the XFL Championship trophy, but their season in 2024 has not gone the way that Bob Stoops and Luis Perez had anticipated. They have been in just about every game that they've played this year in terms of scoring. They've kept pace with the majority of their opponents, but have not been able to close games out in the fourth quarter. And I believe that is what the St. Louis Battlehawks do best. When that clock dwindles down to next to nothing, this team stands tall and rises to the occasion and finds a way to earn a victory. So in terms of this matchup, I think the St. Louis Battlehawks have a fantastic opportunity to move to 7-2 on the year, provided that everyone is healthy. But as we saw against the DC Defenders, it's a next man up mentality. So if Manny Wilkins is under center, we'll have more opportunities to run the football, and he'll be more comfortable in in-game scenarios. My guess is that the Battlehawks will not rush A.J. McCarron back, especially considering the postseason bid that was reached this afternoon. And sadly, it sounds ridiculous, but the Arlington Renegades are simply playing for pride at this point, and those extremely talented athletes in Arlington are honestly putting on auditions for potential NFL training camp invites, as they will not be reaching the postseason. The XFL has it set between the Battlehawks and Brahmas, as we know. So Arlington, yes, of course, they'd like to knock off the best team in the XFL conference when playing against the Battlehawks, but they do not have a whole lot to play for other than putting out more tape for potential other professional opportunities. And I'm not saying the Arlington Renegades are going to roll over by any stretch. I think they will give us an extremely difficult game, similar to that of DC this week. But they're playing for pride. They are toward the end of a season that was completely opposite of their goals, as they earned a championship just a year ago. So I am anticipating another close battle, especially if number 10 is out of the lineup once again. We're hopeful to get some of our receivers back, as Hakeem Butler has had such a heavy load this entire season, and especially this week with Jacour and Marcel Aitman back on the injured list. As we roll into week 9 of this UFL season, I see zero sign of these St. Louis Battlehawks slowing down. I am predicting another victory to move to 7-2 on the year, and then it's truly kick it into high gear mode, as back-to-back weeks they will be squaring off against the second best team in the XFL conference in the San Antonio Brahmas. And those will be the most crucial games down the stretch, as the UFL championship is on the horizon. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in another week. And remember, caw is law. Let's rock.